So this morning we have a text from Luke 6, continuing our time in Luke 6. And the text here is following the Beatitudes recorded in Luke 6. And we're going to start with verse 27 today. And I think for me it's helpful to continuously be brought back to Jesus during these times, as there are so many people and things and mysteries about our world right now. Um, you know, no one can seem to agree on what kind of broad COVID measures look like or should look like. You have some people saying that, uh, it's all a hoax. You have some people saying that it's this terrible thing, and then you have politics that sort of play out from a lot of that, and I think the COVID has just sort of heightened the tensions across the political spectrum, across the theological spectrum within the church, and so there's all um, uh, these sides and pockets of people that disagree with one another on issues and things that are important issues and things. These are ideas and issues that are dealing with people's lives, whether it's uh, talking about Black Lives Mattering, whether it's the proper ways to engage in life in the midst of a pandemic. Uh, there's all these kind of unknowns, and for me, returning to Jesus is a good practice during this time, and especially a practice, or especially a text like this in Luke 6, where we're brought back to the words of Jesus, and he um, presents us with a glimpse into what it looks like um, to bear the image of our Father in heaven. And here's Luke 6, starting with verse 27. It says, "I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you." And and I think the danger here is that we can take this and keep it in the sort of spiritual abstract realm of nice platitudes. Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those the it's easy to keep those abstract, and Jesus won't let us do that, because immediately in verse 29 he says, if anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And so there's a reference to physical violence, and he says, you don't get to just keep this in the abstract. I want this in real life. And then he goes again and he says, and from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. And so here he's referencing a practice that was done that's referring to lending money lending, and that if someone had uh, participated in money lending, and there was a debt that hadn't been paid back, what people could do they would take someone's coat, and they could hold it as like collateral, but they weren't allowed to take their shirt. They had to, give them, that person, their dignity. But the practice here is Jesus is saying, you know what, if someone is abusing you economically, if you are on the the bottom end of an economic structure that's unjust, and people are abusing you and taking advantage of you in that, and they take your coat, he says, what I want you to do is give them your shirt as well. And really what he's in some sense saying is he's referring to context of a courtroom, and he's basically saying, like, strip down and get naked. And what that does is, it needs to be understood that nakedness in our culture today, nakedness, if someone was to be naked in public, the shame would fall upon whoever is naked. That's just, it's like the classic, the nightmare is showing up to school naked or something, right? I mean, like you would experience shame. But in Jesus' culture, in the culture of the Gospels, nakedness in the presence of other people, the shame would actually fall upon the other people. And it's just hard for us to wrap our heads around that, but that's the cultural thing. And so what Jesus is doing here is he's saying, by giving them even your shirt, what you're doing is you're bringing shame upon them, and you're exposing the wickedness of the economic structure that they have developed, and you're flipping it on its head. And there's other cultural references with the cheek as well, but in some sense, what he's saying is he's having this powerful: love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. Have this nice sort of spiritual, like supernatural responsive love in the face of hate. And I want you to take that, and I want you to do that in the midst of physical violence toward you. That tries to rob you of your dignity. I want you to do that within the context of economic violence. And I want you to do that in a way that flips that on its head. He says, give to everyone who begs from you. If anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies, do good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High. For he is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. So for me, I think what Jesus is doing here is he is inviting us to be children of the Most High, to love those who hurt us, and in so doing, to be like our God. And he's describing a love that doesn't just remain in our heart and our soul and in abstract spiritual realms, but it looks real. It has real life application. And the two examples he has here are physical violence and economic violence. And he says, by loving your enemy, you will break these cycles, these never-ending cycles of retributive violence that just go over and over, physical, economic, and when you do that, when you love those who hate you, and you break that cycle, that is when you embody the spirit and the image of your Father in heaven. That is when you become children of the Most High. When you love in such a way that you can bridge the gap between your enemy and you can both be set free from the vicious and repetitive cycles of violence. Amen.